Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Troop 32, and you know what? I'm going to screw up this last name, so forgive me. Okay? The Paternoster family, okay? And the Use family. Use is so much easier. No offense, but it is. And that's all I've ever known, man, so it's been really tough. We want to welcome you tonight for the Eagle Court of Honor for Ryan Philip Use. The Eagle Court of Honor is convened to honor Scouts who have fulfilled the Eagle Scout requirements as set forth by the National Office of the Boy Scouts of America. I am Ray Leonard, Scoutmaster of Troop 32, the biggest and best troop of the Boy Scouts of America. And the Redwood Empire Council. And possibly the world. I'd like to welcome you to the ceremony this evening. I will be your Master of Ceremony. So, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the posting of our colors. Please remain standing as we will have our opening prayer by Mr. Gullickson.
Please prepare yourselves for prayer in the manner which you are accustomed. Heavenly Father, we thank you for the interest in the scouting movement that has brought us all together today. We thank you for the success of the scouting program in the United States since 1910. We are grateful for the influence that Troop 32 has had on the lives of these young men and on Ryan Use in particular. We pray for continued blessings on this troop, its leaders, its troop committee, and its sponsor through the years ahead. We pray that Troop 32 may continue to turn out leaders for tomorrow, prepared as good citizens. Finally, we ask your blessing on this court of honor for Ryan Use. In your name we pray. Amen.
Please be seated. Thank you, Mr. Gullickson. I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome all the many guests that we have here tonight and that we'll share in Ryan's special occasion. We do have a few special guests that have traveled to be here tonight. Ryan's grandmother, Arlene Morales. And Ryan's godmother, Lynn Garrison. So thank you guys for being here and joining us in this celebration. Now representing the Boy Scouts of America, Ms. Eleanor Henderson will officially open this Eagle Court of Honor.
Many Scouts set out on the trail to Eagle, but few have the perseverance to follow it through to the end. Ryan Use is one of those few, and we're here tonight to honor and celebrate his great achievement. The presentation of the Eagle Scout Award is an important and serious matter. Attaining this award is made possible through the assistance of many here with Ryan this evening, his Scoutmasters, troop leaders, fellow Scouts, parents, family, friends, and members of the community. This is an occasion for pride and joy, as well as a time for serious reflection. On behalf of Troop 32 of the Redwood Empire Council, Boy Scouts of America, I officially declare this Eagle Court of Honor for Ryan Philip Use open. And now with the Eagle's Nest, escort Ryan to the front. I've known Ryan since the days in PAC 118, and I've known him as an enthusiastic scout who loves outdoor adventure. Each year he has built himself, physically, mentally, and morally. Ryan is not a spectator. He sets his own goals and works consistently hard towards them. So I want to share a couple of memories where Ryan stood out as a person of character destined for Eagle Scout. I asked him a short while ago, when did you start mountain biking? And he was very hazy about that. But in 2010, barely 11 years old and 6 months into Troop 32, he signed up for an Annandale bike ride, and he joined a group of scouts 4 to 6 years his senior. And those of you familiar with the Annandale trails know that the Rough Go Trail is aptly named. There's rocks and boulders throughout and steep grades in places. And I can vividly remember him struggling up those worst stretches, but he was not daunted. He showed the same grit and determination back then as an 11-year-old, as we've become accustomed to seeing in recent years. Ryan put the out in scouting. He continued to engage fully in the spectrum of outdoor pursuits, like camping, hiking, cycling, and skiing. In 4 consecutive years, he enjoyed the challenge of Troop 32's Survivor event, getting down in the dirt and making fires. And for several years at Camp Wente, he displayed his expertise at shooting sports. Ryan has always displayed a quiet confidence. His face tells me he is constantly observing and processing everything around him, which brings me to my second recollection of Ryan as a scout destined for Eagle. In 2014, Ryan was a Star Scout during our last visit to Wente Summer Camp. And most of the troop leadership and the older boys were at a troop-wide activity on the other side of the lake. Ryan and William were charged with leading the younger boys for a few hours at the campsite to ensure that they got to flags and the dining hall for dinner. When I checked in with them, Ryan and William were charged for leading the boys, and when I checked in with them, they politely but firmly replied, "We've got this." And sure enough, they did. They executed their responsibilities perfectly with confidence, requiring no prompting from adults. I guess they really had internalized Troop 32's way of doing things all those years. And it was unfortunate for Troop 32 that both Ryan and William pursued challenging activities outside the troop. Given the time, they would have both made excellent senior patrol leaders. And there's just one more thing, Ryan, I want to say before I take my seat. I looked closely at your advancement record a few days ago. And what perplexed me was this. You didn't do the cycling merit badge. What's up with that? Was it not challenging enough for you? And yet, 2 years ago, at 16 years of age, you set the world record for the youngest Everest team, a record that still stands today. Ryan rode for over 24 hours up the steep Los Alamos Road, 43 times for a cumulative elevation gain that matched the height of Mount Everest, over 29,000 feet. And throughout your trail, you have demonstrated you can do whatever you set your mind to. Congratulations, Ryan, Eagle Scouts.
I don't think I've driven up Los Alamos Road 43 times. That's spectacular. Actually, it was interesting, Mrs. Henderson, the Eagle Board Review asked him that same question. Why didn't you get cycling merit badge? But anyway, he had an answer for the men, and I'm sure someday he'll teach cycling merit badge instead. So, now I'd like to ask our Assistant Scoutmaster, Trey McAllister, to the podium to share some words about 100 Scouts. Thank you, Mr. Leonard. Good evening. So I have some information about 100 Scouts. So recent stats show that nowadays approximately 6 out of 100 Scouts make Eagle. However, the total number of Eagles all time since 1910 is still over 2%. So what about the other 94 Scouts that didn't make Eagle? Is it just wasted time? The Scouts have aims and methods, things found in the Scout Oath and Law, the patrol method, outdoor training, personal growth, leadership, and so on. Just being part of the program gives the opportunity to better and belong. So of any 100 boys who become Scouts, it must be confessed that 30 drop out in their first year. Some regard this as a failure, but later in life, all of those will remember that they had been in scouting and will speak well of the program. Of the 100, only rarely will one ever appear before a juvenile court judge. 12 of the 100 will be from families that belong to no church. Through scouting, these 12 and many in their family will be brought into contact with the church and will continue to be active all their lives. 5 of those 100 will receive a church emblem, and 3 of them will enter and become pastors. Each of the 100 will learn something from scouting, and all will develop hobbies that will add interest throughout the rest of their lives. 8 will find their future vocation through merit badge work and scouting contacts. 17 of those 100 will become adult leaders and will give leadership to thousands of additional boys. Approximately 1/2 will serve in the military and in varying degrees profit from their scout training. At least 1 will use it to save another person's life, and 2 will credit it for saving their own. 1 in 4 boys in America will become scouts. But it's interesting to know that the leaders of this nation in business, religion, and politics, 3 out of 4 of those folks are scouts. Only 4% of our nation's youth were scouts, and yet 65% of all college and university graduates were scouts. Some additional information: 64% of the Air Force graduates were scouts. 58% of West Point graduates were scouts. 70% of Annapolis graduates were scouts. 72% of the Rhodes Scholars were scouts. 85% of all FBI agents were scouts at one time. And 57% of astronauts were scouted at one time. Scouting makes a difference. The story will never end. Like the golden pebble of service dropped into a human seed, it will continue to radiate in ever-widening circles, influencing the characters of men through unending time. Tonight, of course, we're here to honor not 100 scouts, but 1 scout. While we know the things he has done in the past, we can only imagine what Ryan will do in the future.
So those odds are pretty good. However, Troop 32 is better. Because in my 7 years as Scoutmaster, Ryan is number 45. And this last year, with 2 more that are close, one here in the audience, we will have 11 in 1 year. So we beat those odds, Mr. McAllister.
Yes, we did.
All right. The Eagle Project. In order to attain the rank of Eagle, Ryan had to plan, organize, and execute an Eagle Project. Ryan's Eagle Project benefited the Sonoma County Regional Parks in their STEP program. Ryan organized 75 scouts and leaders to replace railroad tie stairs leading up to the Discovery Center at Spring Lake Regional Park, and en route a 4-inch PVC pipe that ran underneath the stairs. Ryan worked with Mr. John Ryan of the Sonoma County Regional Parks to make this project successful. Unfortunately, Mr. Ryan cannot be here tonight, but instead he provided a letter that I will now share. If you haven't seen the pictures of the project, and I'm sure we'll see some in the slideshow, but there's some really nice pictures out in Ryan's display. Thoughts on Ryan Yost Eagle Project. I would like to thank Ryan Yost, his family, and Troop 32 for inviting me to Ryan's Eagle Court of Honor. Unfortunately, I cannot attend, but still wanted to share some of my thoughts and reflections on Ryan's Eagle Project. First off, I'd like to express my gratitude, personally and on behalf of the Sonoma County Regional Parks, to Ryan, Troop 32, and the Boy Scouts of America for the work that went into this project at Spring Lake. For those of you not familiar with the project, Ryan and Troop 32 rebuilt a staircase adjacent to our Environmental Discovery Center. The old staircase was uneven, eroding, and a safety hazard. Ryan and Troop 32 replaced them with a beautiful new set of stairs that people can't stop talking about. I met with Ryan in the fall of 2016 for a site visit and discussed the project details. I knew rebuilding the staircase was going to be a big project, but I also knew Ryan and Troop 32 were up to the task. It turned out to be a bit bigger than anticipated, with Ryan and Troop 32 logging over 600 service hours. That's a record, at least for regional parks, the number of hours put into an Eagle project. All the time and planning that went into building a staircase really shows. Everyone from our department has seen the staircase, has been impressed. Eric Goodhart, the maintenance person who worked with Ryan, told me that it was the most professional run volunteer project that he ever worked on. He was amazed at the planning and work ethic of Ryan and Troop 32, and how Ryan kept everyone focused on task and at hand. Everything about this project was major. The amount of earth that had to be moved to get to the desired slope, the actual number of steps built, and then the material to backfill the steps. All of it was big, all of it took a lot of work. And then there was the planning and tweaking. Each step had to be at the same height, the same width, and the same distance from the one above it. And of course, all of them had to be level. To those who haven't worked on a project of this type, it might not be seen as a real big deal. But in a park setting, with an unevenly sloped hillside, making it work takes a lot of time and a lot of patience. At the end of the day, the only way to describe Ryan's project was perfect. I now send photos of Ryan's steps to potential Eagle Scouts to show them the quality of work. Ryan and Troop 32 has set a high bar for the future projects of our regional parks. In closing, I'd like to again thank Ryan for all the time and effort that he spent planning, coordinating, and leading this project. It was a pleasure to work with him and the rest of Troop 32. Ryan is certainly deserving of the rank of Eagle Scout, in my perspective, and from the perspective of regional parks. I wish him well in all of his future endeavors, and know that he is destined for good success. Thank you, John Ryan, Volunteer Coordinator, Sonoma County Regional Parks. What that letter doesn't reflect, what Mr. Ryan may not have known, is that we found extra pipes that were not part of the plan, and had to actually run out and get more material and divert more pipes than just one. So it was a big project, and we had enough food to feed the troop and another troop our size for 3 more days. So, all right. I'd like to now welcome a person who has known Ryan since preschool and has accompanied him on numerous scout outings over the years in Troop 32. I'd like to welcome Troop 32 Assistant Scoutmaster Tim Slater.
I've been lucky enough to be in this troop for 6 years now, and it seems like forever. I can't remember a time when I haven't been in this troop. I met Ryan Eust with his mother Ruth almost a decade and a half ago, which seems a world away, at the Jewish Community Center preschool. Ryan and Jake became close friends, and they got along well from the first time that they spent there together. Fast forward to 2010, when we joined Boy Scouts. Nice to see another familiar face, joining the unfamiliar hurricane of adventure called Troop 32. Ryan became part of the Rattlesnakes, Jake became part of the Sharks. My first long-term encounter with him was as a new Assistant Scoutmaster on my first summer camp with this troop. I was assigned to oversee patrol cooking for the snakes. Young men trying not to over or undercook things with little or no experience and a stove. Add in a dash of hunger motivation, bugs, and a schedule, and pretty soon, Lord of the Flies looks like on Golden Pond. But I digress. Merit badges were earned, skills were learned. For once it didn't rain, and nobody died. One small cut and a trip to the hospital, but he really is okay now. And it left such an impression that every night that I put on my Class A uniform, underneath it, I have my 2010 Noyo shirt, which I feel a little naked tonight because I'm not wearing it. While Ryan and I have been to several summer camps together, it was Wente 2013 which really stands out. While the other scouts could be seen coming and going to various program areas, Ryan was seldom seen except at meals. That's because he discovered a new love in his life, And no, it wasn't the Venture Scout working at the trading post. The trap range was it. And as I understand it, Ryan doesn't come from a family of hunters or shooters, but he did have a natural ability to track those little clay pigeons as they flew away from him. Because he was helpful in cleaning up the range, and because he was probably underfoot all the time, they let him shoot additional hours for nothing, which also helped improve his game, or aim. The adults took up a collection sponsored to see how many in a row he could hit, and Ryan set a new camp record with 38. And for that, won the 2013 Clay Champion Award, which you can see outside, the little orange disc. But Ryan also was a great team player that year, and was a key part in yet another Troop 32 tradition, first place in the Wintathlon. 2016 was a big year for me as well. Troop 32 was going to trust me and Mr. Jones with a large group of boys to head into the Grand Canyon, and Ryan Youst was among my charges. Ryan, by this point, has established himself as an accomplished cyclist, and you've already heard some of the accomplishments he's made there. As such, I didn't worry too much when he didn't show up for the multiple practice hikes that I organized. After all, I reasoned, he had the cardio capacity and legs to propel himself through the canyon, so why worry? We had a great drive down, lots of laughs, but about 10 minutes into the trail on day one, Captain Red Shorts made a teensy tiny little discovery. See, the body, like any machine, is only as good as its weakest link. And sure enough, he had strong muscles, heart, lungs, mostly good equipment, and a good attitude. Even in the face of signs that say, caution, naturally occurring radiation, keep out. Welcome to the Grand Canyon. But there was this little matter of feet that belonged to a growing teenage boy who hadn't put on his boots in several months because they'd been in bike shoes. Consequently, the boots must have shrunk, and Ryan found himself descending into one of the steepest hiking trails in North America with toes jammed into a pocket that was way too small. Now, he had let that distract him like Seamus was distracted. I mean, who put that cactus in the middle of the trail after all? But something had to be done. So that night, with surgery on the boots and duct tape on the feet, Ryan learned how to adapt with the equipment that he had, and though he looked like he had hobbit feet, he completed the trail with a little more complaining. This included an O-Dark 30 get-up on day 2, where the 40 gusting to 50-mile-an-hour wind almost threw his tent over the edge like a vengeful spirit upset that someone with a lack of proper footwear would challenge his trails. It also included a hike with headlamps along a trail scant wider than my backpack with his re-engineered boots. Don't look down. He also had a great time mentoring Lee and showing him where watering holes were. His body had to adapt to the great outdoors and all the wonder that it brought. Wait, where's Ryan? Another cat hole? Been a little while because of the freeze-dried food. We forgot exactly how this program works. Just ask Ryan. He's a well-practiced expert by this point. Why he even had a selfie stick and... Oh, never mind, not for that matter. A few months after the Grand Canyon, Ryan provided his leadership skills as the life scout for the first ever shotgun outing at the Russian River. Boom. And though it was a bit laid back, he helped organize the archery, hatchet throwing, tug of war, a monkey bridge, campfire, and of course, lots of shotgun shooting. Again, the pink flamingos survived, and so did everybody else. I wouldn't trust just everybody with this level of responsibility at an outing. Ryan turned his attention to the rank of Eagle. His Eagle project was, in a word, epic. New Troop 32 record for the longest one, and close to the most physical. Now, you heard Mr. Ryan's letter earlier, and I'm sure that he sat down and he put a lot of thought and time and effort into all the things that he said. But my wife and I happened to run into him in Spring Lake not terribly long ago, and he said that other troops have done Eagle projects at Spring Lake, but he actually sets aside time for his crew for cleanup afterwards because they're not finished, they're not well organized, there's things like trash left over, and he's never had to do that with the Troop 32 Eagle project. And that those steps he has received constant comment about just by random people walking through the park who don't know who he is or what he does, but look at those steps. And that, to me, speaks volumes. I guess you must have left an impression. With the exception of Noyo, which was a learning and growing experience for all concerned, I think, one thing stands out in my mind about Mr. Ryan Hughes, his attitude. He can be very focused, but he almost always wears an easy smile and carries a can-do attitude. He never shies away from participating, and I think he will represent the ideals of being an Eagle Scout for the remainder of his life. He certainly has a good foundation. Best of luck in your travels, Ryan, which I'm sure will take you far and wide. It was a privilege to ride with you on the trail. Congratulations, Eagle Scout Ryan Hughes. Thank you, Mr. Slater.
And actually, that was 32 shots plus 6 in a row. Tried to get you to stop at 32, but you wouldn't. I know. Had to prove me wrong. So we have another speaker tonight. Unfortunately, the original person to be here is now an Oregon Duck. I think as of yesterday or the day before, Mr. Shepherd.
Yes.
There you are. You just got up there. Nice picture on Facebook of you and your son there in front of the sign. So William and Ryan, those of you that don't know, were probably on. They wouldn't be on an outing without each other anyway. And they went on more things together than most go on an outing. And they spent a lot of time together. And so since William could not be here tonight, Mr. Goldscheffler is going to read a letter from William, who's spending his time as a freshman at the University of Oregon. Mr. Scheffler.
Thank you and good evening. So, Ryan, or David, congratulations on getting earning your Eagle Scout. This is truly a stellar achievement that few will ever earn. From your spirit to your community service, I have seen you firsthand for many years in my patrol and outside of scouting, and I can personally attest to some of your outstanding qualities. For one, you have incredible ambition. When you have put your mind to something, you do it, no matter how challenging it is. And Mrs. Henderson already mentioned this here. So when you decided to ride your bike equal to the distance of the elevation of Mount Everest, you first went up and then down Los Alamos Road, and then back up and down 42 more times. 24 and a half hours later, 29,028 feet of climbing later, you became the world's youngest rider to achieve that feat. Outside of your personal pursuits, you also like to give back, not only through major service projects like your Eagle Scout project that you led at Spring Lake, but also through smaller local ones. For instance, most mornings, Ryan can be found at the Church of the Roses, back in the kitchen, flipping pancakes. He does this so that any Montgomery High School student lacking adequate nutrition can fill up before heading to school. He knows that the last thing that kids should be worried about is where their next meal will come from. Continual service and programs like these are rare for anyone, especially teenagers, to take part in. But that's the reason why we are here today. Ryan is not like most teenagers. He's exceptional. A few years ago, a big rainstorm hit the Wente Scout camp. A number of younger scouts were caught unprepared or without any kind of rain gear. Most of the tents in the camp also had holes or gaps where the rain would drip in. With no one asking, Ryan stayed in the camp, missing other activities, spending his time going from tent to tent, patching holes for other people. I also recall that same week when a younger scout had worn the same wet socks for days and was in pain whenever he walked. After helping him find new dry socks, Ryan volunteered to carry him wherever he needed to go. I must have been a picture there. This really is the definition of service to others. Ryan, the last few years that I've had with you in scouting have been incredibly fun. All the backpacking outings, whether in the snow-covered Sierra Nevadas or in the waterlogged hills of the Lost Coast, have been adventurous and revealing of your true character. For example, and Mr. Slater talked about this here, in the Grand Canyon, you were plagued with a new blister after practically every mile of dining. Yet, you didn't complain, even when you ran out of moleskin. You only asked for a few moments to duct tape your feet. To fix the problem, you came up with a thrifty solution of just wearing your Crocs secured with duct tape. It seemed to work because we didn't have to stop for you for the next 20 miles. Ryan, I know that you are now pursuing a business degree in college, and that's great news for all of us, because we need ethical, moral leaders like you to lead the companies that make life better for all of us. So in closing, I'm certain that as you continue to push your boundaries, whether in school or in life, you will achieve whatever you set your mind to. Congratulations, Ryan. It has been and still is awesome to know you. You are truly my best friend. William Scheffler.
As you have seen by the many people involved in this ceremony, every scout has many mentors. His first mentors are his parents. And what is more fitting for Ryan's honor today than for his parents to come and share some comments about Ryan. Okay, Mr. and Mrs. Thomas, Pat Rosser, and Mr. Hughes will come to the podium. I struggle looking at that name, just if it doesn't come out. Phonetically, I know. I mean, it should be easy, but it's not.
Good evening. I'd like to thank everyone for coming this evening to celebrate Ryan's Eagle Scout achievement. We're extremely proud of him. I'd like to share a little bit about Ryan's journey to scouting. As a mom of a boy, I was searching for things to do with Ryan. So when he came home one day from 4th grade with a flyer from Cub Scout Pack 118, he could hardly wait to share it with me. We went to the first meeting where we met Mr. and Mrs. Banks, and he was sold. He couldn't wait to start earning belt loops, patches, building Heimlich Derby cars, and going camping. We spent the next 2 years attending Twilight Camp, Camp Noyo, Camporee, touring regional parks, having an overnight on an aircraft carrier. You name it, we did it. We had a blast, all while learning many things along the way. At the end of these 2 years in Cub Scouting, Ryan received the Arrow of Light, the highest award in Cub Scouting. He then crossed over to Boy Scouts, or from Cub Scouts to Boy Scouts. Ryan knew there was only one Boy Scout troop for him. He had seen Mr. Daggett and Troop 32 in action at all of his Cub Scout camps, and he knew he had to be part of the Green Machine. For the first time, he started to spread his wings. One of the first things he did as a Boy Scout was go to the NorCal Jamboree. He then signed up for just about every outing he could and spent almost every weekend with the troop. Ryan got to go on 5 summer camping trips and 2 spring break trips to the Grand Canyon. He learned many things in scouting, important things such as first aid, CPR, small boat sailing, shotgun shooting, and how to tie knots. Lessons and activities that will stick with him throughout his life. And he advanced in rank. From tenderfoot to life, earning numerous merit badges along the way and learning about leadership in the Boy Scout troop. My greatest joy during all of this was watching him grow into a young man based on the morals and ethics taught in scouting. Then, when Ryan started working on his Eagle ring, he was challenged in new ways. He had to plan his Eagle project, develop a written plan, execute the plan, and build the project. Ryan's installation of the new stairs at the Discovery Center were the result of over 600 hours, service hours, performed by Scouts. He then had to stand before an Eagle Board review made up of adult Scouters, not from his troop, most of whom he had not met before. At the board of review, he was queried on his career in scouting and his Eagle Project. He passed the board of review, and he earned the rank of Eagle Scout on August 3rd, 5 days before his 18th birthday. For accomplishing these seemingly insurmountable tasks to complete your Eagle Project, I'm very proud of you. Ryan, you are now part of a very small group of people who have earned the rank of Eagle Scout, and I hope that you remember the life lessons you've learned as part of scouting and that you take them with you into your future. I hope most of all that you remember the greatest lesson, that you can achieve anything as long as you persevere. So we're here today to not only celebrate the achievement of earning the rank of Eagle Scout, but to celebrate who you are, who you've become, and the limitless future that lies before you. Your dad and Joe and I are very proud of you. Thank you.
First of all, I'd like to send a special thank you, and blessings to the troop leaders. It's amazing to corral tons of these crazy little wild Indians and get them to focus on something, get them to be a cohesive machine, the green machine. And
To an Eagle Scout is to live with honor. To an Eagle Scout, honor is the foundation of all character. He knows that a Scout is trustworthy is the very first point of the Scout law for a good reason. An Eagle Scout lives honorably, not only because honor is important to him, but also because of the vital significance of the example he sets for other Scouts. Living honorably reflects credit on his home, his church, his troop, and his community. May the white of the Eagle Badge remind you to always live with honor.
The second obligation of an Eagle Scout is loyalty. A Scout is true to his family, Scout leaders, friends, school, and nation. His loyalty to his troop and brother Scouts makes him pitch in and carry his share of the load. His help with all of these help to build the loyalty that means devotion to community, to country, to one's own ideals, and to God. Let the blue of the Eagle Badge always inspire your loyalty.
The third obligation of an Eagle Scout is to be courageous. Courage has always been a quality by which men measure themselves and others. To a Scout, bravery means not only the courage to face physical danger, but the determination to stand up for the right. Trusting in God with faith in his fellow man, he looks forward to each day, seeking his share of the world's work to do. Let the red of the Eagle Badge remind you always of courage.
The fourth obligation of an Eagle Scout is to be cheerful, to remind the Eagle Scout to always wear a smile, the red, white, and blue ribbons attached to the scroll of the second class award, which has its ends turned up in a smile.
The fifth obligation of an Eagle Scout is of service. The Eagle Scout extends a helping hand to those who still toil up the scouting trail, just as others helped him in his climb to Eagle. The performance of the daily good turn takes on a new meaning when he enters a more adult life of continuing services to others. The Eagle stands as a protector of the weak and the helpless. He aids and comforts the unfortunate and the oppressed. He upholds the rights of others while defending his own. He will always be prepared to put forth his best.
You deserve much credit for having achieved Scouting's highest rank, but wear your award with humility, ever mindful of the Eagle Scout is looked up to as an example. May the Scout oath and law be your guide for tomorrow and onward.
Thank you, Eagle Scouts. I have the pleasure now of giving Ryan the Eagle Scout charge. Ryan, it is with great honor that I give you the Eagle Charge on the occasion of your elevation to the highest rank in Scouting. This is not the end of the trail, but rather the beginning of a new era in your life as you continue in Scouting. You are now entering a brotherhood of boys and men who have not only achieved the Eagle rank, but have made a commitment to the Scout Oath and law. You will always be an Eagle Scout and will be expected to conduct yourself accordingly. Ryan, I charge you to enter this Eagle Scout brotherhood, holding without reservation the ideals of honor and service. By repeating the Eagle Scout promise before your fellow members, you'll be sealing your eternal loyalty to the code of the Eagle Scout. Gentlemen, Scout signs, Ryan, please repeat after me. I reaffirm my allegiance to the three promises of the Scout Oath. I thoughtfully recognize and take upon myself the obligations and responsibilities of the Eagle Scout. On my honor, I will do my best to make my training an example, and my rank and my influence count strongly for better scouting, for better citizenship, in my troop, my community, and in my contacts with other people. To this I pledge my sacred honor. 2. You can clap. When the Eagle Scout badge was designed in 1912, it was decided that a small silver eagle be suspended from a ribbon of red, white, and blue, so it remains today. Today, along with Eagle Ribbon, Ryan will be presented with his Eagle Scout certificate signed by the Chief Scout Executive, and not yet the President of the United States. He hasn't gotten his signature on there yet. It's okay. But it says here the President of the United States, but he hasn't signed it. Let's see. Where was I? Signed by the Chief Scout Executive. Along with these items, Ryan will receive the Troop 32 Eagle Scout neckerchief, slide, and belt buckle. And of course, he'll receive the unique to Troop 32 black Eagle Scout hat. So, if his parents, Mrs. Paternoster, will you please come forward? And Dad, said Dad, yes. You can Eagle Scout badge online. Ryan, will you pin your mom, her Eagle Scout mom's pin? Yes. And your dad's? You did earn the first aid grant badge, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Ryan has a pin for his grandmother. The new grandparents' pin. And Ryan has one more presentation. He's got a couple mentor pins here waiting for him. So I'll turn the podium over to you.
All right. So I have two mentor pins. The first is someone in the troop. That is Mr. McAllister, wherever he is. I think he's got yeah. So Mr. McAllister, I met when we were going to summer camp. I got stuck on the. Okay, so I met Mr. McAllister when we were on our way to summer camp. I got stuck on the bus without air conditioning, and he sat next to me, and we started talking, and next thing, I was asking him to be my mentor for my Eagle project, and then he helped with all the dates and all the planning, someone I could rely on when I just needed a little help, a little push. Thank you. Goes to a teacher of mine that I met in sophomore year of high school. He was my English teacher, and I found a home at Montgomery in his classroom, and that is Paul Mantile.
Let me get to say it. Ladies and gentlemen, Reverend Umpires, Council's newest Eagle Scout. There we go. Normally I turn the microphone over to Ryan, but I forgot to have these gentlemen up here state their name and when they received their Eagle Scout. So, Mr. Murray, if you could start, please.
John Murray, Troop 369, Dale City, California, February 17, 1982.
Tim Slater, Troop 109, El Cerrito, California, September 17th, 1982, which means a week ago it was 35 years.
Paul Alexander, Troop 1, Huntington Beach, California, August 23rd, 1988.
Trey McAllister, Troop 1, Wichita Falls, Texas, May of 1983.
Mark Voss, Troop 28, Sebastopol, September 5, one day after my birthday, 1979.
Ray Leonard, Troop 8, Petaluma, October 17th, 1980.
Jack Henderson, Troop 32, Santa Rosa, June 11th, 2013.
Zach Shiro, Troop 32, July 5th, 2017.
Clayton Chestnut, July 19th, 2011, Santa Rosa.
Seamus Reed, Troop 32, August 8th, 2017.
Christopher Gullickson, Troop 32, July 7th, 2016.
Austin Leonard, Troop 32, January 5th, 2015.
Thank you, gentlemen. And now we'll turn the podium over to Ryan. Be careful.
Wow, this is awesome. Finally,
finally standing on the stage. In front of friends, family, fellow scouts. I remember when Josh Freeze was standing on here about 4 years ago on this same stage, looking down at all the younger scouts, and I was one of them. He said it was going to be a long road, and it sure was. But it was fun. It was really fun. Where else would you have driven to a state to go mining for quartz, or camping in the pouring rain, sleeping in a shelter you built with just tarps and branches, or backpacking the Grand Canyon in flip-flops? Their answer is nowhere. Scouting has offered me such a unique experience that I would not have found anywhere else. I initially picked Troop 32 because I saw how they were set up at Camp Marie. All the tents were perfectly in a row, and I heard a rumor that the scoutmaster used a laser pointer to line up the tents. I thought this was super rad. So I went and visited them, and I later found out that it wasn't true. But the troop was so organized compared to everyone else, I had it. Advancing through the ranks was difficult, but while on outings, the skills naturally came, and instead of fearing the Troop 32 green sheet, I conquered it. If I had one piece of advice to any of the younger scouts over there, it would be to attend the outings. William Schaffler would always ask me to go on outings with him and take the weekend off from riding, and every single time, it was totally worth it. There are so many people that I would like to thank. Scouting has shown me firsthand that it truly takes a village, and the people in this room make up a majority of that village. When you assemble that village together, you get something very powerful, much more powerful than if it was an individual member alone. Tonight is supposed to be about me and this award, but it's not. It's about you, because without each and every one of you, I would not be standing here tonight. So thank you, Troop 32, and everyone else involved. This is something that I will carry with me to the grave. Thank you.
I like that laser pointer idea. That's good. I remember that one. Now, one of the best parts at all Court of Honors, Eagle Court of Honor or Troop Court of Honors, is the slideshow. We can see our memories and see how they grew up in this troop. So, without further ado. All right, Mrs. Henderson, here you are. Please come to the podium and officially close our Court of Honor.
It's been my pleasure to have known Ryan for many years. I've witnessed him at his very worst and his very best, all at the same time. His worst as he pushes himself mentally and physically to almost breaking point, only to dig deep one last time and cross the finish line. He shows tenacity, literally and metaphorically. He picks himself up, gets back in the saddle, and tries again. This character trait will serve you very well in life. Ryan is currently attending Santa Rosa Junior College and hopes to transfer to Asp Business School at Berkeley in a couple of years. He credits his scouting with giving him an awareness of who he truly is and where he's going in life. He's not blindly following others. Although many scouts bemoan that green sheet, Ryan says it was his lifesaver, keeping his first aid and map and compass skills honed for his outdoor adventures. Ryan, the things you've done, the leadership and the character you have developed will stand you in good stead for the rest of your life. You will have opportunities to serve others through college or work and in your community because you know what you can accomplish. Whatever pathway you take, choose wisely and rely upon your scouting knowledge and experience to continually enrich your life and the lives of others. May the light of scouting shine in you forever. And by the authority vested in me as a representative of the Redwood Empire Council, I declare this Eagle Court of Honor for Ryan Philip Hughes closed.
now Eagle Scout Mr. Christopher Robinson. Will you please close in prayer?
Ladies and
Don't
gentlemen,
look so surprised. It's on the program.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand and prepare yourselves for prayer in the name of Jesus. Heavenly Father, we've heard a lot today about character, persistence, courage, loyalty, cheerfulness, service, setting an example, and protecting the weak and helpless. We admire these qualities, and we pray that they will serve Ryan well over his lifetime. We know that being an Eagle Scout is a lifelong responsibility. We pray not only that Ryan will exemplify these qualities, but we ask that he might influence others to do the same. In your name we pray. Amen.
Please remain standing of our color guard. Thank you all for joining us tonight for Ryan's celebration of he and his family. Ryan's project workbook, letters, and certificates of congratulations will be available for your viewing in the back. I'd also like to remind everyone to sign the guest book. Now that Madam Officers and the Hughes family would like you to join them in the dessert reception in the connection point. Thank you. Ryan?